Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, and welcome. In the systems of yoga, the practical, theoretical, and also philosophical aspects of yoga, we come across the term Akasha. Akasha indicating meaning space. Whether it is Akasha in the form of the Akasha Tattva, which is one of the 5 tattvas, of the 5 Mahabhuta, as they are called also. Whether it is that Akasha as a tattva from which the other physical tattvas emerge, like Vayu Tattva, and then Agni Tattva, and then Apas, and finally Prithvi Tattva, which are the Akasha is the ether, space element. Vayu Tattva is the air element. I'm translating so that everybody can understand. Agni Tattva is the fire element. Apas Tattva is the water element. And Prithvi Tattva, earth. These are the 5 elements as they are called in English, Italian, French, in different languages. In yoga, in Sanskrit, they are called tattva, and the meaning is quite different. In the systems of yoga, they are also known as Mahabhuta. Bhuta is the spirit, meaning that it is something, is the essence. It is the principle which is responsible for the manifestation of a certain element. And the entire creation is made up of these 5 elements. Wherever we go, in the trees, in the people, in the vegetable, mineral kingdom, human kingdom, any kind of kingdom, we find that there is these 5 tattva. And of course, these 5 tattvas, they are also an expression, a manifestation of something higher. But now we are focusing on the Akasha Tattva. And Akasha Tattva is considered to be quite important. They are all important, but Akasha Tattva, from the perspective of tattvas, you see, it is from Akasha Tattva that the other tattvas emerge. So this means that in Akasha Tattva there already is the potential of all the other tattvas. It's like you take the seed of a tree, the seed of an oak tree, any kind of tree, the seed of a apple tree, the seed of a whatever, figs. You take the seed. You can have the seed in your hands. In the seed, the entire tree is there in potential state. And you hold it in your hands, you see the seed, some round something, oval something in your hand. But only after it is put in the ground, in the soil, and time goes past, then it becomes a tree that makes more fruit. Now, that tree is in potential state in the seed. This is just an example. So the same way in Akasha Tattva, the others are present in a latent potential state. That is why the yantra of Akasha Tattva is a dark circle. Is a dark circle, disc, black. But as you look at it, you look at it, you look at it, you start to see some colors. You start to see that there is something. The same way like when you enter a dark room, you come from outside where there is light, you come into a room or a hall where it's completely dark, you go in, at the beginning you see nothing, it's dark, black, dark. But then you stay there, and as you stay there, the eyes adjust. There is an adjustment to that environment and that darkness, and you start to see something. The same way it is like in the Akasha Tattva. Initially it appears as black, but if you keep looking and as your gaze and the concentration adjusts, then you see points of light, you see different other manifestations. So this is the Akasha Tattva, and of course this Akasha Tattva space is also part of the existence of life of this personality of every human body, together with earth, water, fire, and air. This Akasha Tattva is space or ether, and it is related, connected with the sense of hearing, the ears, the sense of hearing sound, and we know that sound also moves via ether. Ether is the, how you say, vehicle for the basis of which sound can move and travel. So we have that Akasha Tattva is part of us, but at the same time this Akasha Tattva, if we go deep down into the nature and the qualities of it, we find that it is very important and interesting from many aspects. And that is also why in the system of yoga, in the practices of yoga, like in Yoga Nidra meditations like this, we find also the word Akasha connected to like Chid Akash. Chida Akash. Whoever has practiced Yoga Nidra, if it is proper Yoga Nidra from the Satyananda yoga tradition, or if it is not just an improvised, self-taught, new agey kind of Yoga Nidra, but proper Yoga Nidra, at a certain point when you come to visualizations, the teacher or the instructor will tell you, now take the awareness to Chida Akash, the space of the closed eyes. That is the space of the closed eyes, is the Chida Akash. Chid is the name given for the either mind or consciousness. consciousness. Because that is where the consciousness manifests in the form of thoughts. Now, thoughts, whether they are thoughts that we think willingly, consciously, thoughts whether there are impressions, memories, thoughts which is just invisible ideas, thoughts which are also in the form of impressions, images, visual, like this. And whether it is an invisible thought, whether it is image, whatever it is, it finds expression, it is manifested in the space called Chidakash. And it is the space of the closed eyes and the forehead. That is where we think. When we have something to think, where we want to solve something and think of something, where are we thinking? We are thinking here, in this space. We are not thinking in the shoulder, in the back, in the elbow, in the knee. We are thinking here. That is where it happens. And that space indicates that there is depth. That there is depth. It is not something flat. It is not something flat. That depth means that there is the depth of the mind also. There is depth of the mind. That depth of the mind is the nature of the mind, the dimensions of the mind, including the subconscious, the unconscious aspect of mind, the unconscious dimension of mind. An unconscious dimension of mind is quite vast, limitless. So, in space, it's something that relates to that with our mind we can relate. It is closed, very closed, in the form of understanding and symbology with this vastness. So we have the Akasha Tattva as a Tattva. Okay, related to Vishuddhi chakra, connected to the sense of hearing, and so on and so forth. But we also have in the systems of yoga this Akasha, like Chidakash, the space of the head, the consciousness. It manifests in the form of thought. Then we have the Hridayakash, the heart space. The heart space, the space in the chest, the space that contains the heart, both physical heart, the heart as a symbol of feelings and emotions. And there are the practices and techniques of yoga like the Hridayakash Dharana, the concentration on the heart space. That is where we come into contact with the depth of the feelings and emotions. But this Hridayakash, the heart space, is also considered to be the location point not only of Anahat chakra, but also is the symbolic location point of the self in the form of a flame. And also in the symbology of Anahat chakra. If you see the symbol of Anahat chakra, the 12 blue petals, and then inside you have the two interlaced triangles, one triangle pointing downward, one triangle pointing upward, and they are interlaced. And in the center of this image of the two triangles, there is a flame. And that flame is a immobile, unmovable, undisturbed, unaffected flame. It represents the self. This is the Hridaya Akash, middle. Then, in the system of yoga, this is less known. There is also another space which is called Dahara Akash. And this Dahara Akash is from the level of the navel down to the base of the trunk. That is the space of the psychic dimension, pranas, chakras, tattvas, and all those aspects of the personality creation. That is where they are contacted and visualized in the Harakash. And the Harakash is also the space of the instinctive aspect of the personality. In a certain teachings and traditions, it is said that in the Dharakash, that is where the instinctive aspect of personality. In Hridayakash is the emotional aspect of personalities, and in Chidakash is the intellectual aspect of the personality, but it is not intellectual only. And in the systems of yoga, even if we consider these three spaces separated and independently, but at the end we should have a unified approach, a unified approach and experience, because they are separated in order to have a specific area of focus. But it does not mean that they are different and completely something else. Like the Chidakash has nothing to do with the Hridayakash, and Hridayakash has nothing to do with the Harakash, and so on and so forth. No. They are part of the same unity, unit. That is the concept of holistic approach, unified approach, and space as Akash in the systems of yoga, the philosophies of yoga, the traditions of yoga, is also related. It is also a symbol of consciousness. Because consciousness, according to the scriptures, according to the tradition, is something which is no boundaries. It is limitless, infinite. It is everywhere at the same time, in all places, all directions, in all time, and everything. Very difficult to understand. Personally, I do not know, I do not understand. I'm just repeating what I have heard. But I know the importance of the practices of yoga and meditations where we focus our awareness whether in the Chida Akash, whether in the Hridaya Akash or the Dahara Akash. And there are other aspects, other forms of Akashas in the form of practices. Like we have the Antara Akash, you have the Bahiranga Akash, like this. And it is important to train our awareness. It is important and necessary to have this concept of Akasha in order to train the awareness and mind. What is this training meaning? Training means to identify the awareness with the subtle dimensions, the subtle fields of our personality and existence. Like, for example, we know that we have the pranic body, there is the pranas, the meridians, the chakras, and all those things. Intellectually, we know that they are there. But when we close our eyes and we want to contact, we want to visualize, we want to connect our awareness with some either chakras or nadis and meridians, we find that our awareness is only connected with the physical body, and that we have to have a very strong support, physical support, like we have to say, okay, Anahat chakra, we think of heart, the physical heart. We try to hear the sound of the heart, we try to hear the pulsation. Where is the physical heart? With the physical material heart we can connect, the awareness can relate. But with the Anahat chakra, which is in the pranic body, which is in another dimension, is not physical, is subtler. It is much subtler than the physical. In order to connect with that, to visualize that, to experience the chakra or the nadi or the meridian, we have to disconnect the awareness from the physical dimension and connect it with the other. That passage is a very important and necessary passage. And to do and to make that passage is where we need to train the awareness and the mind. And in the systems of yoga, we have clear indications for that training, and the clear indications are in the form of, like, the necessity of, first, kaya stadium, immobility of the body, and then it is also like pratyahara, the withdrawal of the activity, the withdrawal of the connection of the mind and awareness with the sense perceptions, the withdrawal of the pranas from the senses. That is also important and necessary, part of the training. And if you analyze all the practices and techniques, like even in Yoga Nidra, whether it is Yoga Nidra, Antarmona, Japa Japa, Chidakash Dharana, any kind of practice, is necessary immobility, kaya stereo. And if we also analyze the meaning and description of the asana, which is given in the Raja Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, Stiram Sukham Asanam. Stiram means immobile. Sukham means relaxed, comfortable. Asanam, asana. So it says the experience of asana, the condition of asana, the culmination of the practices of asana is to bring to the state of steadiness, stiram, and sukham. That is why it is called also this kaya sterium. Kaya means body, sterium, immobility. Now, this kaya sterium is the important stage, and it is also where we start to train the mind also in concentration. We are concentrating on the body. When we practice kaya sterium, we are concentrating the mind on the body. It is a practice of concentration. It is a mental experience. It's not physical. In the body there is movement. The cells are moving. There is breath. Everything inside is moving. Blood is circulating. Nervous system, so on and so forth. Peristalsis is happening. It is not physical. It is mental. It is psychic in it. And it is a form of concentration on the body. And as a consequence of this concentration, we begin to see a bit more clearly. We become aware of these subtle inner mechanisms, like, okay, there is the body, there are the muscles, but then there is the mind, there are the idea. I want to move, I want to scratch, I need to scratch, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to move, I need to adjust. It starts, there is the idea. The idea is there and it is in the mind. Then there is the body, there is the muscles, there are the joints, there is the mechanics. Then there is the awareness and the observer. You can see, okay, I would like to move, that is the idea. I can move, you know, you can move. I have the muscles, I have the legs, I have everything. Which normally it is not so. Normally we are acting in, how you say, impulse, instinctive. You say, mosquito come, we just continue and slap the mosquito. We are not aware that our mind has recognized, this is a mosquito. I know this. The information, notion of mosquito is in the mind. Where it is going, then I say, okay, I'm deciding to slap it, I'm deciding to kill the mosquito. It is automatic. We do not see clearly the interaction, the connection between mind, ideas, and movement, body, energy, which is required to do that. But when we start to practice Kaya Stereum, we can come into the point where we first can see clearly, and then we are free to make an option. Okay, I will keep immobile. I know I would like to move, I know I can move, but I decide not to move. There is another aspect of personality, the willpower comes into the picture. And then you can come to a point that even if the physical experiences is like pain, discomfort, we could go past that, we can go over that, we can go above that, we can transcend it. That is definitely there, and that is definitely possible. I'm not saying that you should now do this and resist your pain. No, it is a process of gradual training. I'm explaining something. It is like in some shows, and they say, don't do this at home. I said, do it at home, but with awareness, gradually, do not hurt yourself immediately. In the course of time, yes, it can, but that transcendence, that going over, it is a change in state of consciousness, it is a change of the awareness, it is a change of perspective that happens. So, Kaya Stereum, it is an important, necessary stage. Pratyahara also, that is why before practicing meditations we should practice some pranayams or Brahmari or Tratak or whatever it is that can give some pratyahara. That means that there is a tendency, a spontaneous tendency of the awareness and the mind to go inside. And it should be spontaneous tendency, not forced, spontaneous. And then training the mind into experiencing, even imagine the space inside. Momentarily dissolve the presence of solid systems, organs, these kind of things, and imagine space, and just leaving the outline of the body in the form of the skin. Then everything else is space. And connecting the awareness with that space, entering into that space, and within that space, then it is possible to visualize either the chakras, one own psychic symbol, nadis, meridian, the yantras of the elements of the tattvas, and the practice of mantra in general is very, very important and necessary in order to enhance Akash, space, whether it is in the form of the Akasha Tattva, the element, whether it is in the form of the experience of space inside oneself. Mantra, Because mantra is sound vibration. Whether it is loud sound, like the voice, like I'm speaking now, back, whether it is whispering sound, whether it is mental sound, still it is sound. And sound has very much to do with Akasha Tattva. Because the tanmatra, the element, the sense which is related and connected with the Akash space element is the sense of hearing. And with the sense of hearing, what do we experience? Sound. And sound moves in space. Sound moves in space. So the practice of mantra, whether it is with voice, like we practice the Mahamrityunjaya mantra 11 times or one mala, whatever it is, any kind of mantra repeated by voice, with the rhythm, with the repetition, whether it is whispered, whether it is mental, but by practicing and repeating and chanting mantras, we are also contacting, developing, enhancing the Akasha Tattva, the space element. And whether it is the Chida Akash that we use and practice in Yoga Nidra, in Antarmon, in Ajapa Jap, so on and so forth, whether it is the Hridaya Akash, whether it is the inner space, the whole inner space, it is necessary, it is important, it is good that in our yoga practices, also when it is asana, pranayams, meditation, that we connect, direct the awareness to this space, that we direct the awareness, the mind, to the idea of space, the concept of space, the dimension of space, deep, infinite, limitless space, which appears to be dark, appears to be empty, it appears to be completely silent, it appears as if there is nothing there, but it is also where the potential, all the different qualities, potential, are in a latent potential form. The same way like a big tree is in potential state in a seed. The same way within us there is the potential of knowledge, understanding, wisdom, limitless consciousness and experience. That is the potential, that is the direction and aim of the practices of yoga and meditation. So, keeping in mind that we are into space, We are occupying space. There is space inside us. There is space inside the body. There is space in the mind. Space is everywhere. Akasha is everywhere. And that we, as individual beings, we are the microcosm, replica of the macrocosm. And whatever is in the macrocosm, in the macrocosmic space, it is also in the microcosmic space. Whatever is there is also inside. Whatever is inside is also outside. If it is not outside, it is not inside. So training to focus the awareness definitely is going to bring expansion of mind, expansion of awareness, and all the other different benefits and effects which come together with that. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat.